Okay, I call this meeting of the Madison Elementary School District Governing Board to order. Ms. Humphries, will you call the roll?
President Gresham.
Here.
Vice President Thompson.
Present.
Member Holcomb. Member Kazi.
Here.
Member Spear.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda if there's no changes?
So there you go.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Kazi. And we'll just do voice vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 And that's unanimous. Should I say any opposed? And we do have executive session on the agenda. Do I have a motion for to executive session?
Move to adjourn into executive session.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson and Ms. Kazi. And everybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are in executive session. I'm going to reconvene the meeting of the regular board meeting of the Madison Elementary School District. And thank you all for being here, by the way. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and are Meadows students still here? Can they come up and lead the pledge, please? Okay, thank you. And we will go right into our presentations and recognitions. Dr. Guerin.
President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. As always, I'm honored to ask Ms. Anna Andrews, president of MSD38, to the podium.
Thank you. The You Make the Difference and Shining Star Awards are presented by the Madison District Classified, Certified, and Classroom Teachers Association and Madison Administration to recognize the certified and classified staff who truly demonstrate Madison's vision of inspiring passion for learning and leading in an ever-changing world. All right, our first You Make the Difference Award recipient is Megan Buffert. Nurse Megan Buffert embodies the very essence of excellence in her role as a caregiver and advocate for our students. She goes above and beyond to ensure the well-being of each and every individual under her care. Whether it's a comforting hand on a feverish forehead or a reassuring word to worried parents, Nurse Megan's presence at Madison Simus provides our community comfort and support. One of Nurse Megan's most remarkable qualities is her innate ability to see the best in everyone. She approaches each interaction with positivity and kindness, setting a shining example of integrity for both students and staff alike. Her unwavering dedication to Simus is seen in her interactions with staff, parents, and students. She makes sure our systems run smoothly for vision and hearing testing, ensures our student immunization records are accurate and up to date, and works with outside agencies to bring key medical resources to our schools. In the realm of health and safety, Nurse Megan's contributions are invaluable. She tirelessly works to ensure that our students are in optimal health, enabling them to thrive academically and personally. Nurse Megan works with the district lead nurse to update our health office manual for all schools so that our schools are providing appropriate care for students and staff. From bringing health initiatives to our district from the Maricopa County of Health to her innovative wristband idea for head injuries and her diligent implementation of hand washing lessons, Nurse Megan's proactive approach to wellness fosters a culture of care and responsibility within our school walls. But Nurse Megan's impact extends far beyond the confines of her office. She is a pillar of support for our entire community, extending her kindness and assistance to all who need it. Her welcoming spirit and genuine camaraderie make her not only an outstanding nurse, but also a cherished friend and confidant. Nurse Megan, we are proudly grateful for the way that you make the difference in our lives each and every day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sure. And you can, we're all right. Speak out. Okay. I wrote this down because I was like, I'm gonna forget. Okay, so first I just wanted to thank my family, my husband JP. I've been the school nurse at Simon's this is my second year. And I think when I brought up the idea of becoming the school nurse, he was a little bit hesitant because it'd be a big change for our family, and he was really supportive. I appreciated that so much. My 3 kids, who all go to Simon's right now, River, Callum, and Juniper, they never get too embarrassed when people see me outside of work and say, "Hi, Miss Megan," and they're really excited to see me at school. Always give me a really big hug. The really amazing staff at Simon's, I don't think I even need to tell anyone here how amazing our staff is. But especially the front office team, Laurel, the attendance clerk, who won the Shining Star Award in the fall. She is my right-hand lady. She's my bodyguard. She does all the things I need her to do. She's amazing. Angelica at the front desk and Stella that also works in the front office are amazing. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank the admin team at Simon's, especially Lindsay Murray, our principal. Giving me this award really shows me that the health and the safety of our students is a priority at our school, and I really appreciate that, and it also shows me that school nurses really do make the difference. So. We're back there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations.
All right, our next You Make the Difference Award recipient is Liz Jangle. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you to present the You Make the Difference Award to someone who has not only enriched our curriculum, but has also inspired countless students to discover their talents and pursue their dreams. Congratulations goes out to Liz Jangle. Liz is an exceptional educator who has seamlessly woven creativity and learning into the fabric of Madison Meadows, igniting a love for learning and the arts in every student she encounters. She is a creative and thoughtful classroom educator, and her tireless efforts have brought to life the magic of theater and music, providing our students with transformative experiences that extend far beyond the confines of the classroom. Liz excels in the realm of academics, guiding our advanced 8th grade English and theater classes with unwavering passion and expertise, challenging students to think critically, express themselves eloquently, and embrace the power of storytelling. Among her many accomplishments, Ms. Jangle spearheaded the organization of our school's inaugural musical, A Butterfly's Day, captivating audiences with a performance that transcended expectations and showcased the immense talent within our student body. Her visionary leadership didn't stop there. She also established both a theater club and a show choir, providing platforms for students to express themselves creatively and develop invaluable skills in teamwork, communication, and self-expression. Furthermore, her commitment to excellence has been recognized on a broader scale as she was awarded the prestigious Madison Education Foundation's Arts in Education Grant, a testament to her innovative approach to integrating the arts into our curriculum and fostering a culture of artistic exploration and appreciation. Liz's impact extends beyond the stage and into the very heart of our school community. When faced with the need for a long-term substitute in the midst of a maternity leave, this remarkable individual stepped up without hesitation, ensuring continuity in our students' education and embodying the true spirit of dedication and selflessness. Today, as we honor this extraordinary human, We want to celebrate her achievements and express our deepest gratitude for the profound impact she has on the lives of so many students. Liz Jangle's unwavering dedication, boundless creativity, and enduring commitment to excellence serve as an inspiration to us all. Please join me in congratulating Liz Jangle, recipient of this well-deserved You Make the Difference Award, for her outstanding contributions to Madison Meadows and the field of education. Thank you for everything you do. We know your light will continue to shine brightly, illuminating the path for future generations of artists, scholars, and dreamers.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you too. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations on a spectacular show. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Sure. I didn't write anything down, so hopefully it won't be as good. But I just want to thank the governing board for having me here tonight, and congratulations to everybody who is receiving an award tonight, because I know that everybody here is very deserving of it. I moved to Madison last year after being in a previous district for a really long time, and that was very scary, and I'm just so incredibly grateful to be a part of this district. And very specifically, I'm very grateful to be at Meadows. Mrs. Clark always refers to us as the Ram fam, which is really very true. I'm just so happy to be at our school, and thank you, both of you, Amber, Katie, for letting me always bring these crazy ideas to fruition that I had this year. So, and my family is here, my husband and my kids, Wyatt and Willow. They're both science students, and my parents. Thank you so much for always supporting me too. So,
All right, our first Shining Star Award recipient is Sandra Warren. Sandra Warren runs 2 exceptional programs in the Madison School District at the highest quality, the after-school program and preschool program at Madison Simus. Her hard work, flexibility, compassion, and dedication are evident in every aspect of her role. Sandra's dedication and unwavering commitment to supporting the Simus community is seen every day in her actions at school. Sandra goes above and beyond, committing more time than required to ensure that her site runs smoothly. Not a day passes without her checking in on her staff and students, showcasing her support for others and dedication to her work. Despite overseeing the largest program in the district, Sandra manages to maintain the same level of excellence as the smallest sites in the district, a testament to her remarkable management skills. Her customer service is unparalleled, as she ensures that any concerns raised by parents or workers are addressed promptly and effectively. What sets Sandra apart is her ability to empower her team to excel and grow. Many assistant coordinators in community education have thrived under her mentorship, thanks to her knowledge, wisdom, and guidance. In fact, out of 12 site coordinators, 8 have worked directly with Sandra. Her impact extends beyond administrative tasks. She fosters social and emotional growth at Simus through engaging activities that spark passion and growth in the students. One staff member who worked with Sandra said, "I can attest to her exceptional leadership and mentorship. From day one, she welcomed me into the Simus family and nurtured my growth. Sandra's unwavering support and guidance have fueled my passion for helping others and striving for success." Students and staff feel safe to grow and be themselves when working with Sandra. Sandra Warren is not just a director for our MAC and preschool program at Simus. She is a valuable member of our community who inspires those around her to be their best version of themselves at all times. Her impact on the Madison Simus community is immeasurable, and her dedication to supporting students and fostering growth is truly amazing and makes her our shining star.
This is my Julia jacket. This is me, so I don't know what to compliment. Oh, yes. Well, this is the part I didn't like, this report. I just want to say thank you so much to my scientists and my community ed family. I started many years ago. I was only going to work one summer, and that's been over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I'm a class Madison student, and my kids go to Simonson #1, so they're Madison kids. So Madison has just been my life. I love it. I make such a great team over there. It's so sweet. I appreciate it. And have a great one. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Whole section. My whole section.
But my husband and my and all those wonderful people.
All right, and our second Shining Star Award recipient is Stacy Campbell. We are excited to not only celebrate excellence, but to honor someone whose dedication and compassion have woven an invaluable thread throughout the fabric of our school family. It is with immense pleasure that I stand before you to present the Shining Star Award to Meadows' beloved attendance secretary and social committee chairperson, Stacy Campbell. In her dual roles, Stacy has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to serving our school community with grace, warmth, and boundless empathy. As the attendance secretary, she approaches her responsibilities with unparalleled care and attention, ensuring that every student feels supported and valued. Whether it's making those at-risk attendance phone calls or communicating in Spanish to bridge language barriers, Stacy embodies the spirit of inclusivity and compassion. But her contributions extend far beyond the confines of her office. As the social committee chairperson, Stacy has touched our lives in countless ways, from celebrating joyous occasions to providing solace during times of sorrow. Her thoughtfulness knows no bounds as she sends cards for life events, organizes staff breakfasts, and ensures that even the smallest gestures, like coffee orders, are infused with thoughtfulness and consideration. Yet what truly sets Stacy apart is her ability to offer wisdom and insight from a unique perspective, that of a Meadows mom. Her guidance and advice resonate deeply with all of us, reminding us of the importance of empathy, understanding, and support, not only within the school, but also within our broader community. Today, as we recognize Stacy Campbell's remarkable contributions, we want to also express our profound gratitude for her selflessness, her kindness, and her dedication to making our school a place of warmth, compassion, and inclusivity. Stacy, you are the heartbeat of our school, and it is with immense pride and admiration that we present you with this well-deserved award.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time, and whoever wrote that is so beautiful. I will keep it forever. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about it. I left a very different career to come to Meadows, and when I explained to people, like, I'm the attendance clerk, and they're like, you do it the way you do attendance all day? And I do, but it's a lot more, as you heard, and I really enjoy it. So I wanted to say thank you especially to Katie for, like, taking on this risk of this person from somewhere very different and letting me come in and do this. We moved to the Madison district so our boys could go to the schools, because that was, you know, everyone else, Madison's the place to be. But you value education. And I'm just happy to be a small part of the public education. I care very much about that. I love the teachers at Meadows. We have the best, I know we all have the best teachers, but our admin are the best. I have my family here, my husband and my 2 boys. I get to see the boys at school, they go to Meadows, so that's another perk, but, thank you so much. I'm just happy to be a part of it, so, thank you.
So we have some very, very special honored guests to introduce to today. They are the 4th grade class of 1963 from Madison Meadows. So why has this 4th grade class stayed connected all these years? They share because it is for their love of their teacher. And I am so excited that Ms. Joy Dyer is here today. And I'd like to introduce Ms. Barbara Leikowitz, who is going to share their journey with us.
Thank you very much, Superintendent and members of the school board and everyone in the audience, and especially to our wonderful teacher, Miss Dyer. We're proud graduates of Madison Meadows Elementary School, 1968. It was a K-8 school then, but when we entered 4th grade and walked into our classroom, we knew it was going to be something really special because we had this incredibly vivacious and wonderful and really beautiful young woman as our teacher. And I think that John is here and can vouch for the fact that every boy fell in love with her. And I can vouch for the fact that every young woman in that classroom looked up to her. And what happened is, and I'm sorry, I just can't call her Joy. I have to call her Miss Dyer. It's, you know, what happened is Miss Dyer created a classroom in which each one of us felt that we were her favorite. And I know that's really hard to do with 35 kids, but it happened, and it was a very special type of, you know, interaction. She was hard on us. She wanted us to get our work done, but at the same time, she really made sure that each of us followed our passions. Each one of us had maybe a gift that she wanted to make sure that we thought about that gift, and that we did the best to really express that gift as we got to be adults. And so the class of 1963-64 just had our 60th anniversary. It was last Tuesday. Miss Dyer turned 90. I'm still not quite sure how she looks younger than most of us, but you know, that's terrific. I just know that it would be amazing for every person to have that kind of teacher in their life. A teacher who accepts them for who they are. A teacher who pushes them to be better than what they thought they could be. A teacher who really loves them and cares for them and gives them not only the idea that they can be curious and that they can be, you know, they can achieve what they want, but that they can really set goals for themselves. And we enjoyed our time with you so much. The fact that all of us get together on a regular basis and talk to each other. We were your very first class, and we kind of still feel like you were our very first teacher. And so thank you so much for honoring her today. I wish everybody else could be here. That's our photo when we were in 4Z together, and we took another photo last Tuesday night when we had our 60th reunion. So, but Miss Dyer, you deserve every accolade that the Madison School District ever wants to give to you. And we'll be here for your 100th anniversary, your 100th birthday.
Wonderful. And you know what, I gotta text my mom, you were my teacher. Hear that?
Another student.
Teacher but board member. Well, 1963, Mr. Wimberly
was our principal at Madison Meadows, and Beely Johnson was here as our superintendent. I came home from Germany after teaching the children of military people that were stationed in Germany. And that was a wonderful experience, and that could have been one of the reasons why I was hired, is to have that experience overseas in a different environment, working with people that were extremely important to the military and to their position in a foreign country. I can't believe, after all these years, that these are still my kids. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience for a teacher to have. From 1963 to 2024, still be connected. They were the top of their class. They were called the MALs. Does anybody know what that means?
Most able learners.
Did you hear?
What?
More able learners. Not only were they more able learners, they were connected at the hip. Many of them started in kindergarten together. And in that time of Madison history, they separated the top of the class from the average and the below average children. These were the MALs, the top of their class. And some of them started in kindergarten together, continued all through 4th grade together. After 4th grade, I think the board decided no more MALs, that they will be heterogeneously grouped. They became family. They were really tight together. They played together at school, they played together after school in their own neighborhoods. And they were my kids. They were my kids from the get-go, and they're my kids today. And it's an honor, ladies and gentlemen, to be in this circle with people who are interested in education and connecting with these darling children that we love so much, protect so much, and want the best for. These kids, they're still tied together. Still tied together. I had a big birthday last week, and they all came from out of state to be with me to celebrate a 90th year. And it was a beautiful experience. It was like family. They all intertwined together like they did when they were in 4th grade. They acted like they were related, like they were sisters and brothers. And for a teacher to have that experience with a class that you had 30-some years ago, and they're still my kids. And I'm eternally grateful. I'm eternally grateful for Madison School District, who has had a continuous, wonderful academic reputation in our city. Congratulations to all of you who are helping that make a difference to Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.
Yeah, have the students come up.
We're bringing the photos.
Where are we expecting that?
You guys stand next to her.
Yeah.
And we'll scooch out.
You should stand next to her.
Yes, you guys scooch next to her. Come on, Hambo, come over here. Thank you.
Room for you guys?
No, be in it.
Well, we'll do one, we'll do one.
Hold it up, hold it up. Hold it up.
I thought it'd be down.
Stop.
I know, seriously. I know,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Brianna. Okay, and hide a little bit wrong.
You're about to
It's so good to see you.
I know.
But, yeah, they want us to leave.
Yeah.
Are you guys good if she posts this?
Oh, yes.
Yep. That was so great. Thank you, everyone. Before you go, if you are, you're welcome to stay. If you're leaving, go ahead and take some cookies with you. Yep.
Cookies?
Great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you to Ms. Dyer for being here and all her students. That was so great. And of course, to all our award winners. Yes, you can move up. I wanted to point out also for our award winners that it's obvious in the comments that, you know, they do so much more than their title. So everyone really works hard, and it's very special, and that was so cool to see. So thank you, everyone, for that. And then we have one more recognition, Dr. Guerin.
Thank you, President Gresham. Yes, I'm very pleased to introduce the incoming Camel View Assistant Principal, Mr. Andy McLennan. He currently serves as the Dean at number 1, and Camel View is promoting him to Assistant Principal. So I'd like him to come to the podium and just say hello.
Hi, everybody. Governing Board, thank you so much for having me tonight. You know, as I was looking forward to the night and kind of thinking of the words to appropriately describe the moment, overwhelmingly, I kept coming back to gratitude. I know personally, in the case of professionally tonight, nobody has it much better than I do. So I know one thing, and that's that I'm grateful above everything else. I'm excited after the opportunity. I feel joy and I feel pride, but this night's guided by gratitude. And when I got into education, all I wanted to do was do good work and make an impact on kids' lives. It wasn't really complicated, what I set out to do. I wasn't sure what that was going to look like, and I didn't know how that was going to happen, but that was the goal. And about 4 years ago, I was a young new dad. I was freshly back from 7 years away from the Valley. And for some reason, I was working 2 jobs, and for some reason I had the idea that maybe I could be a school leader. So I went on this journey, and I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew my why, and it's the same thing that got me into education. It's the same thing that drives me today. I wanted to make an impact on kids' lives, and I now wanted to do that on a larger scale. And this year, I was given that opportunity in the form of the Dean of Students position, as was said, at number 1. Madison gave me the opportunity to be able to do the work I hoped I would get to do someday. At number 1, I've been able to grow into many of the aspects of a leader that I had hoped to be. Madison's trusted me to show up every day and support our students and staff. And I'll be forever grateful for the work we've been able to do at number 1. It's been the best job I've ever had to this point in my life. My staff are the best people I've ever been able to work with. Our students are second to none. But then December came around, so I'll paint a picture for you. I'm sitting in my office with Hillary O'Brien, who many of you guys know, and I'm living my life. I'm enjoying my job. I'm perfectly content. And at the end of my meeting, she says, "Are you going to apply for the assistant principal job?" And my response was, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Camel View's assistant principal job is open, and I think you should apply." And here we are. So I went from having no job, no idea this job even existed, to standing here before you, the next assistant principal of Campbellview. And I couldn't be more excited, because as I went through this process, I did a lot of research. I tried to find as many people as I could who had some background in Campbellview. I spent time at Campbellview to try and get a feel for their staff and the place. And what I kept coming back to is that this is a special place. And it was a place that I wanted to be for years to come, and I told their staff this in my interview, that this isn't a job hop for me. Like, I really just want to sink my teeth in and be there. I loved what they were doing with SEL for their students. I loved how close their staff felt, and I believed in the vision that CJ, their principal, laid out for me. And it generally felt like a no-brainer, and I really can't wait to get to work. And I want to just finish by saying some thank yous. The first ones are for actually Katie Clark and Casey George, who, if you don't know, are the reasons I'm here, honestly, because they gave me my first shot in the district by giving me the dean job at number 1. I want to thank Johnny Brownlee and Josh Dugan, my fellow administrators at number 1 and my mentors, for being supportive of me making this jump at this point in my career. I want to thank Hillary for being my first advocate in this job. I want to thank CJ for taking a chance on me to be his partner, and I can't wait to get to do the work with you. And finally, my family. I'm so thankful for all of you, but really quick, I just want to point out my wife, Kayla, is over there, and our son, who's right here, Miles. I just want to say that I'm nothing without you guys, and really this moment and this night and everything I do for the district does not happen without them. And they've really made tremendous sacrifices to get me here. And I have what I have, and I am what I am because of you guys, so I love you. And so Madison Governing Board, Dr. Guerin, everybody here, thank you so much for having me and my family tonight. And I accept my appointment humbly, and I'll be forever grateful for the chance you guys gave me. So thank you.
Madam President, may I say something just real quick?
Oh, yeah.
You're right. Campbellview is a very special place. One of the things since I've been going there, it's one of the happiest places in the world. I just want to let you know, my beard used to be that color. So this is your future.
You can see it's slowly disintegrating.
Yeah. So
Santa
this is your future, and I'll keep the suit in good shape for you.
Thank you so
Future
much.
Santa.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for all you've done at number 1 as
Yeah,
well.
Karen,
So
you bet.
congratulations.
Take care.
Okay, Dr. Guerin, would you like to give your report?
President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. It has been really a heartfelt evening tonight, and I'm just filled with gratitude to be a part of this school district. I think when we ask what is our why, tonight helps us remember why we get up every morning and focus on our students and making sure we take care of our staff. So really filled with gratitude. I do hope everyone had a wonderful spring break. Please remember that this Friday is spring recess, and it's such a busy time of year. It's so important to remember that state assessments are given from March 25th through April 19th. If you see Mr. Piankowski running around, that is why. School attendance is so very important. Every day counts. Parents, please check with your school for your child's assessment schedule. On April 15th, we'll be sending out our annual parent survey. I know we receive so many surveys in today's day and age, but parents, your feedback is crucial as we strive to provide every student with an exceptional educational experience. You hear how amazing Madison is, and that is because we work hard at it every single day, and your feedback is so important to us. The survey will be open until May 15th, so you have a month to figure it out. Thank you in advance for taking the time to respond to it. Looking for an opportunity to pay it forward? Instead of buying someone a coffee at the Starbucks drive-through line, maybe you would consider paying off a week of someone's school lunch debt. Our fundraising page is now live on allforlunch.org. allforlunch.org. The donation form on this landing page is unique to our district, so any donation comes straight to Madison, and we get 100% of the donation because it is a nonprofit organization. And because it's a 501c3, any and all donations that come in are tax deductible, and the donor will receive a tax receipt after each donation. So if you go to www.allforlunch.org/Madison ESD, it's just a great way to pay it forward and make a difference in a family's life. Last Friday night was simply amazing at the Night at the Museum. Thanks to Leanne Spangler, Art Masterpiece Director, Molly Dodd, Executive Director of the Madison Education Foundation, and more volunteers than I think I have ever seen. We had 2 volunteers per button machine. I mean, it was a well-oiled machine. The student live art was remarkable. I especially loved the student dressed up as Bob Ross painting happy little trees. There were art lessons, displays, live sketching, button making, food trucks. It was an incredible night, one of my favorites, and attended by really hundreds of people. But wait, there's more. We're not done in Madison. We have our Madison Gala. It's the second since COVID, and it's going to be called Madison Gala Viva Madison. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year, and it directly funds Art Masterpiece, which makes art at the Night at the Museum possible. Please join us for live music and a fun-filled casino night on April 27th. Get your tickets on the foundation website at MadisonEducationFoundation.org, and I hope to see you there.
Thank you, Dr. Guerin. We'll move on to our board member reports. Ms. Spear, would you like to start?
Thank you very much. And thank you for letting us know about allforlunch.org. I was not aware of that, and I'm happy to now know. Thank you to all of our teachers and our administrators as we move into state testing. These next 2 weeks are as described to me by an administrator, sometimes an uphill climb. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have to work so hard to make sure that the state testing goes off without a flaw. Thank you again, and congratulations to Meadows Got Talent entries. The art that was presented to us and that was entered was truly extraordinary. It's hard to believe that these are students and that they are not even high school level, because they are certainly doing graduate level work. So congratulations to all of them. And also to our Shining Stars and You Make the Difference Award recipients. And Mr. McClellan, I'm so glad that he has joined us at Camel View. I just, listening to his comments was sort of a demonstration of a commitment and a dedication level that is not unique in Madison, but always so wonderful to hear and see. And also to Ms. Dyer, who my mom has just told me via text was actually my 4th grade teacher. And so I thought she looked very familiar. And so to all of her students and the bond that the students have with each other and with their teacher is, again, just extraordinary and really unique to Madison. This is a community, and it has been that way for a very long time, and I'm just very glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kazi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome again to Mr. McClellan. It's always lovely to hear the background and the why. It's important, and we share so many of the same whys, don't we? Again, congratulations to all of our award winners. Always extraordinary to hear not just the things that people are doing, based on their job descriptions, but it's always the above and beyond that blows me away. So much was shared tonight about that. Congratulations to Madison Simus on their 75th anniversary and all the excitement associated with that, and also to Miss Joy Dyer and her 4th grade class. It was fascinating to learn that class has one Grammy Award winner and another, famous author. It's always lovely when we can hear what our students have done since they left Madison. How did that Madison education impact the rest of their lives? It was really quite an evening. Wanted to provide the board with a brief update. I attended the Arizona School Boards Association board meeting on Saturday. We approved basically the job profile for our next executive director, and that position should be posted ideally by tomorrow tomorrow, and we'll be collecting applications until April 27th. So I'll be sharing that with you and hope you will spread the word. We're looking for someone a little outside of who we've had in the past, someone who really is committed to the organization and not necessarily the end of their career, but like this is what they want to do and move the organization forward, revitalize it, and help it recommit to the needs of our membership, all the school boards across the state of Arizona. In addition, you should know that Senate Bill 1097, the partisan school board elections legislation, will be heard in the House again tomorrow. If you would like to notify any of your legislators your perspective on that. Wanted to share that I was able to participate in the first SIMUS International Day since the pandemic. And it was kind of interesting because it was going to rain, we thought, so they moved it inside. And so there were maybe 7 countries in the media center, the library, and 7 countries in the gym. And this was something I will never forget. So, I had my table from Iran, which is where my father was from. Persian New Year is spring, so we were celebrating the New Year. And I went to to the gym just to see the countries over there, and there was another Iran table. Because there's a little confusion about Iran and Persia, but I don't know if that will ever happen again. It was just, I wish my father was alive because I think it would have blown his mind. That his country that many people don't really know a lot about, right, except for maybe a hostage crisis or two, that, that there was dearly, a lot of interest and knowledge learned about Iran. The other thing that I learned is that it is important, I think, every once in a while for all board members to interact with preschoolers and kindergartners and remember just how exhausting it is. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is from 8 until what time? And it's a good reminder that it is a lot of work. Just watching those hands and where they were going and the questions they had. It was amazing. And then I wanted to thank Meadows for that extraordinary Meadows Got Talent art exhibit, as well as all the incredible community projects they're making a difference not just in our community locally, but internationally. The scope of the impact of the students at Meadows, it is worldwide. I don't think that is an understatement, and that is something to be said. That is really important work. And then finally, I'm excited. I'm going to be interviewed by a Meadows student for their community project tomorrow. So I got to do some research tonight so that I know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. Mr. Holcomb?
Yes, thank you. It's hard to follow what's already happened this evening. I very much enjoyed the night at the museum. Actually, my favorite of the statues the living art was the Marilyn Monroe and Andy Warhol next, and it was just a phenomenal experience the night at the museum. Actually, then the next night, Saturday night, I got to enjoy the Veterans First celebration that they had there for supporting female veterans that they had. And they actually had several Rosie the Riveters and a number of women soldiers from World War II, as well as celebrating all kinds of women who have served. And it just showed me how important actually the Madison is, not only to us, but as a community center to come forward. And I just have to comment on the art we saw. It's been said the Madison Meadows art. What really got me is the little things that they showed, some of the culture that they came through, the artistic choices the kids made, and on the pictures of the kids from Columbia that they sent, they actually got pictures from kids from Columbia, and then they would do drawings and send them back with a note of support to them. But what really got me was the eyes. These kids, are middle schoolers, and you saw the faces and the expression and the life in the eyes of what they drew was just phenomenal. I do hope people do come to Viva Madison. I think all of us will be there. I will be there. I actually got a red suit for that, and I'll be running the slot machines out of my house, so you can come on over and you can lose some money for Madison. Anyway, it should be a great evening, and I have nothing further.
Sounds good. Thank you. And Vice President Thompson.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to echo everything that's been said. It has been such an uplifting evening tonight to, go see the impact our students are having, like you said, internationally, to have them, telling the stories of Holocaust survivors and sharing those butterflies was so moving. The pictures that students are drawing and that, like you said, the life in those eyes is so incredible. To see that and then to come back here and once again celebrate the impact of our Madison staff, teachers and staff alike, and to know that that isn't just something that's happened over the last few years, but to have a teacher who taught here for 30 years who's maintained that connection with her class, as the organization who puts on the Teacher of the Year awards says everyone's story includes a teacher, and just the impact that those teachers have every day in the lives of our in our lives is so wonderful. So I want to thank everyone for all they do every day in support of our students. Would like to remind everybody it's spring sports season. I know we've got a lot of those in the middle school. I know my kids are in extracurriculars in Rams baseball season. Had a great game last Wednesday in the rain at Simus. Kind of fun. But really appreciate all the work that the grounds folks do to keep those fields nice and for our community to use them. Appreciate that. And also want to give a shout out to the Madison Heights chess team. They won first place in a chess competition this weekend. So congratulations to them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Yes, my face is hurting from so much smiling tonight. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be sore. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna echo all my fellow board members' comments, and we had a great time at the night at the museum. I became an expert paper flower maker. I was teaching them all how to make those paper flowers. So, okay, so we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have any changes to the consent agenda first? Do I have a motion?
I move we adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I will second that.
Moved by Mr. Holcomb, seconded by Ms. Spear. Please vote. And that's unanimous. And we'll move on to 7.1. Ms. Humphries, do we have any calls to the public this
We
evening?
have no calls to public this evening.
Thank you. And on to our information items. 8.1, Dr. Guerin, please introduce this one.
President Gresham, Vice President Thompson, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Barb Marshall for item 8.1, the science of reading.
Thank you, President Gresham, members of the board, members of cabinet, and guests. Last year, we shared a presentation with you on the science of reading to really give you the background and the research that neuroscientists have put together really with today's technologies to be able to explore how students learn using MRIs and other things and watching the brain work. And this year we started the training with our teachers using the program Letters through Lexia, which we chose as our model for the science of reading. So tonight we are pleased to share with you where we are with the training and the implementation, not just with our K-5 language arts teachers, which is what the requirement was for, but also pleased to see that our early childhood program immediately jumped on board, and they are attending the training that is specific to early learners and are implementing it as well. So tonight we have two of the directors from Educational Services, Laura Webb, our Director for Curriculum and Instruction, along with Keisha Breiling, our Director for Community Education.
Will this just advance on its own? Yeah. You can push it. Oh, cool.
President Gresham, board members, Dr. Guerin, and cabinet, thank you for the opportunity to have Mrs. Breiling and I talk with you about the science of reading in the Madison School District. So my first question is, do you remember how you learned to read? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it was Dick and Jane. Maybe it was some other ways. You may have more of a memory of how your children learned to read. And that may have been something called whole language, or maybe something called balanced literacy. That's how my children learned to read, through centers, through lots of reading, through maybe looking at the pictures and looking and trying to guess what the letter was or the word was as we move through the pictures. Well, we now know that over-reliance on guessing in pictures is not the best way to teach reading. That was what we knew then. That was the best method. That was the best way that we knew how. And now we have some new information. Just like science and medical innovation changes, so does the science of reading. So here we are. I'm going to go to the next one. What is the science of reading? So the science of reading really is a lot of research in a lot of different fields, including psychology and education, linguistics, neuroscience, and all of them did research on the actual science of how people learn to read. And they found evidence that was very similar across these different fields to inform us of what the brain does while we're reading. And through that study, and a lot of what Ms. Marshall talked about with the MRIs and the new imaging systems allowed us to actually look at the brain and see what areas of the brain light up when we're doing certain things, certain exercises, certain ways of hearing and speaking that inform us what the better ways are. So we have used a company called Lexia, and Lexia has took all of that research and developed a program to teach educators a better way to teach reading. It is based on science of reading research. It is considered the gold standard of what's on the market now. It is well known and thought of so well that the state has purchased very expensive licenses for many school districts, and Madison took some of was granted some of those licenses, but also chose to purchase some licenses so that all of our teachers could be trained. What they did is they took the research and they broke down the skills into manageable areas that could be interpreted and learned so that we know the best, not only scope and sequence, but in what order and how to teach kids. And to explain what those skills are is Mrs. Breland. Do you want this? Yeah, okay.
Thank you. So one of our favorite things that started by presenting this simple view of reading, which is everything but simple. So it talks about word recognition, which is being able to decode words, times language comprehension, which is making meaning of what is read, equals reading comprehension. And as we all know with a math equation, if anything times 0 equals 0, so we have to have both balances of word recognition and language comprehension. And both of those components begin in and require strong foundations both in preschool and in the early elementary years. So this is the simple how easy it is to learn to read. So this is the Scarborough's reading rope, and the concept behind this is that we need both of the boxes of the word recognition and language comprehension, and we have to become increasingly strategic and increasingly automatic, and that just takes a lot of practice. So what we do for the pre-K and the early elementary years is really looking at that word recognition, which is that blue part of the reading rope. So if these skills aren't mastered, the kids are never going to get into the higher levels of reading. So they focus on phonological awareness, which is all oral. That has nothing to do with looking at letters and books and those kinds of things. It starts with things like rhyming. How can we imitate rhyming? Can we identify rhyming, and then can we produce rhymes? Can we blend? Can I say there's the word cow and the word boy, and we put it together and we say cowboy? Can we segment and know that in my name I have 2 syllables, Keisha, and so we break down into our syllables. So those are all things that we start with in preschool that have nothing to do with picking up a book, but are those strong foundations of early literacy. Then we go into decoding, which is all of those fantastic English words, English rules that we learn on how to form together sentences, how we speak, how our voice goes up at the end of a sentence, how we break down the syllables in our words, learning things like the differences between voiced and unvoiced consonants, and trying to teach a 3 and a 4-year-old, hey, if you put your hands over your ear and you say the f of the letter F and you say the v of the letter V, how is that different when you have your hands over your ears or you put your hand on your throat? And so really specific instruction to get kids to understand that with mirrors and those kinds of things. And then we get into the sight recognition, which really goes into that automation so that they don't have to work all of that processing to work that part of their brain to get to learn to read those easy things. So again, we were doing a lot of focus on this beginning section on just oral language, what you hear, what you speak, and that's really helping us specifically in preschool. We had a strong foundation of the language comprehension, but then we've been able to add some of those word recognition pieces in so that we can help build that strong foundation.
So we know that humans are not wired to read. They're not hardwired to read. It's not easy. It's not like speaking. Speaking's much, much easier to do than reading is. But we know that if we give kids clues, we know that they have a much better chance and they will get there, right? If we give them the right tools. Mrs. Breiling kind of gave an example of a tool of explicit and giving them hints. Put your hands over your ears. Do you feel this? Do you not feel this? It helps them identify those clues to be able to make their decisions to learn to read and to write and correspond those letters in a more efficient way. So when we talk about teaching reading, we talk about being explicit and systematic. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about what that means. Explicit means that we teach them in a very clear sequential order. We're teaching letters and sounds in very sequential order from simple to more complex. We're also teaching high frequency spellings, things that they would see over and over and over again in text before we teach low frequency, which is a little different than what we've seen before. Explicit also means that you give kids tools. So if I look at a piece of writing and I can see there's something that's not, they're mixing up these two letters, I can go and I have tools as a teacher to be able to say, I think they're mixing them up because I'm looking at a placement on a chart that says, oh, they are mixing up a T and a D, and the tongue goes at the top of the mouth on both of those letters. That must be what they're confusing. I'm going to talk to them specifically about that so they can make that change. That's explicit. That's not just, what do you notice? Or, try this. It's very explicit instruction on how to change what they're doing wrong. It's also systematic. So things are broken down into very manageable chunks, and we teach them step by step with an I do, and then we do all together, and then you do. And we would even add an extra step in there, which is another we do, meaning that I do, we do together as a group, maybe we do as a partner, and then you do on your own. So you get extra practice, and that's the last piece of this, is making sure that it's meaningful practice over and over again. The last thing is really to do it at a brisk pace, because if you look at lessons on phonemic awareness and phonics, if you're going slow, you're gonna lose kids pretty quick because it just keeps going, right? You gotta be pretty quick. So why is this so important? Well, because nationally we know that 35% of students can proficiently read grade level text. That's it. And we need to do something different. So one of the reasons that middle school teachers, or middle school students rather, may not be able to read, there could be learning disabilities, but as we know from the pandemic, we know that there was a lot of lost opportunity and learning gaps. We know that there could also be very poor instruction. So it's important for teachers, not only in K2, but beyond second grade, to really understand what the science of reading, what the main components of that are. So that, first of all, they could identify if there are there's intervention that is needed. That's one reason, but also to know that there are things that you could be doing in your middle school classrooms to also help students reading. And in their, maybe not the individual letter sounds if they're that low, hopefully not, but even in the morphology of words, doing word work, doing other things to increase comprehension and to increase their strategies. This is a really quick progression of word study through the grades, and you can see we start at kindergarten, actually before kindergarten. with some of that basic phonological awareness. And all of these things build upon each other all the way through 7th and 8th grade, even into the Greek morphemes. So there are things to be done with word study and with spelling and with language all the way through our elementary schools.
So we've learned a lot just through this, and we've just beginning this process. The early childhood teachers, we completed our training on March 8th. The early childhood version is a little shorter. It's a lot shorter than the K-5 teachers are going through. And thanks to our preschool instructional coach, Julia Keffer, and our teams, we have already dug in and begun implementing some things in our classrooms, because we know that in early childhood, absolutely every interaction is an opportunity for learning. So we're going to look at some of these areas that we've already begun to see in our classrooms. Oops. And so we're going to start with daily routines. Again, every opportunity is a routine to learn, and so we create things where they don't know they're learning, we're just doing some fun things. And so these are pictures of classrooms both at Rose Lane and in Camel View, and I wanted to point out in the center, back in December, as you can tell, Miss Monica over at Camel View was using syllable sticks to clap out our names, and we use that as a ticket to go, okay, you can clap out your name and have your syllables in your first name, and then you can go to snack. And then there's a way to differentiate that. So if they can't get it, then we can help hold their hands and clap them together. Once they have their first name, we can move on to their last name or names of characters in books and those kinds of things. But obviously with attendance and picture cards, poems, we do a lot of that every day in preschool. We're also doing things with intentional play. We know kids love to learn through play, and so we like to keep real world things in the classroom. So whether they're learning to do their names, whether we're looking at grocery ads so that they can see things, or of course we're reading books. One of my favorite things here on the right over at Madison Camel View is a whisper phone, aka PVC pipe. So what kids do, it's a really great opportunity. We use those as well as mirrors, and so kids can have the mirrors and see what their mouths are doing, but then they can have the whisper phone and they can hear their voice and what the articulation is. It's a really great amplifier, and kids have been having a lot of fun with that. Of course, we do our daily lessons where Mrs. Webb talked about our explicit instruction. We are using the FastBridge assessments, which are approved by the district, and one of the things we talk about are concepts of print, and some of the things you think about is we have to teach kids that there are differences between words and pictures. And so we're learning on those. We have to teach kids that you read from top to bottom and left to right. We do a lot of that with metacognition, so we'll have teachers that they'll pick the book up wrong and wait for the kids to be like, no, that's not right. When they go, oh, what am I doing wrong? And so they'll flip the book over and talk about where they're going to start. And then we do a lot, again, literacy isn't everything, so a lot of the cross-curricular lessons in the left-hand picture is over at Madison Simus, where they are putting their names, and we talk about each letter gets its own little square, and then we talk about graphing and whose name is longer and whose name is shorter. And then, of course, in preschool, we read, and read some more. One of the things that Letters has taught us is that there is a very research-based way to read our read-alouds. Multiple times, they talk about a 3-tiered where you should read the book no fewer than 3 times to students with different explicit instruction opportunities each time. And so we talk about the high-quality text and what makes a preschool book a high-quality text. And then they talk about explicitly teaching what they call Tier 2 vocabulary. That's not the typical educational phrase of Tier 1 is everybody, and then Tier 2 select few. What they have with Tier 2 vocabulary is those are the words that are high frequency words across books, but ones that the students may not be as familiar with. So we select 3 to 5 Tier 2 words for each book that we read, and then we come up with explicit instruction, which either includes a picture card or an activity, a motion. I walked into a classroom the other day and the kids were galloping across the word because they were learning about galloping, but then they have a way to put that in their brain, and then those are words that we know they're going to hear in future stories. And then again, so these pictures are of MTA and Simus, and again, learning how to read. The kids like those little spooky Halloween fingers to help kind of cross that. Anything for fun. And last but not least, one of the things that we are absolutely loving in preschool is learning about writing. We have always done letter formation, learning how to write letters, especially letters in their name. That's the state standards, is that they know those few letters. But what Letters taught us is that many young students hesitate to write because their writing doesn't look like the teacher's. and so they say they can't and they stop. But what Letters has taught us is that there are specific stages that is very prescribed in students learning to write. So we start with scribbles, which is just you can't tell the difference between drawing and writing, and then they go to more linear type shapes, random letters where they may not spell something, but we can recognize them as letters, and then they go to initial sounds. And then they do semi-phonetic, so those are the ones where all of our teachers are learning how to read kid writing, and then the conventional writing, which is what the teachers is. So what they tell us to do is that, you know, we always write conventioner because we want to model the appropriate writing, and then we write the stage that the students are writing at, and then the next stage above. So they know where the next step is, and they're comfortable with their writing the way that it is, and they know how to progress into the next level. So our preschool team has really, really embraced some of these letters implementations. They're seeing the impacts from the things that we've had in our classrooms in the last few months, and we're really excited to see the impact it's going to make on some of the kinder.
So what is happening in the K-5 realm is that the teachers have completed 3 of the 8 letters units so far. Each chapter or each unit consists of a chapter of reading, an asynchronous video lesson, and then an assignment or something to do with kids that practices those skills that are learned. The reading and the video portions are worked on during TCT twice a month, but most units require a little bit more time. They are lengthy. And after each unit, we have had a 6-hour training session that is live that has an instructor. The last session of that we have this year will be the day after school lets out, and we are set to continue this with next year and finish letters units 5 through 8 in the next school year. So the support that the teachers are receiving is, I feel like is good. I wouldn't know if it is enough, but it is something that we are trying to provide to the teachers and to the administrators as they're going through and through the implementation of this science of reading. So our reading specialist has been given emails to every staff member before one of the TCTs, so she outlines what the new learning is going to be for that particular lesson. The site administrators are receiving summaries of learning after each lesson. The curriculum instruction has developed different lessons to help teachers and to help administrators identify what some of the key things are that they should be seeing in classrooms, or at least some teachers trying. Along with key instruments, like I showed you, we have vowel valleys and different handouts that helps teachers that we've printed for them, and ways to incorporate all of that into their reading blocks. So learning to read is difficult, but learning to teach reading a new way is also very, very difficult. So giving teachers the time and opportunity to practice this over time is really, really important, and we've asked them to try out things in their classroom. Beginning next year, we will put together more things that will be a little bit more explicit about the expectation about moving in the direction of implementing this in a larger capacity. Along with that comes with some additional resources that we're looking at with our current adoptions and seeing that there are gaps and that we need to supplement those so that teachers have the necessary tools. And so curriculum is working on doing that right now. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the science of reading in Arizona law. As you know, that there's a law for a reading endorsement that that teachers need to have, K-5 reading teachers need to have by 2028. Currently, there is a bill in the legislature to extinguish that requirement, to not have that requirement any longer. What I wanted to impress upon you is that this letters training, the training in general in science of reading, is time consuming and it's difficult. There's no doubt, and it requires a commitment from our teachers that at some times feels unmanageable. I am also going through the training. I understand that. I'm up at 5 in the morning doing my lessons sometimes to get ready for the live lesson because I haven't gotten them done. But this learning is crucial, and it's necessary for our students because every student deserves to learn to read. And we know that in the method we were doing before, we are not reaching all students. So for this reason, Madison's going to continue to do this. Even if that legal requirement or that legislative requirement goes away, we will continue to use 2 TCTs next month or next year, 2 TCTs a month next year, excuse me, regardless if that reading endorsement is dismissed. So that is what we have. Do you have questions or comments?
for either one of us.
Thank you both for this. This is really helpful. And I do want to express my appreciation for everyone that's working on this and the teachers for doing this training, because it is a lot. But it's very important. So any questions or comments from the board? Ms. Spear and then Ms. Causey.
My comment is short. I have heard from teachers how time-consuming and exhausting this whole process is, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of them for their commitment to go through this. And as a parent of a child who was not diagnosed with dyslexia until much, much later, way too late, I can attest to kids falling through the gaps. Luckily, she's 23 now and she can read, but it was very, very difficult. And if this program had been in place, she would not have struggled. And it's something that it's not just not learning how to read, it is your academic identity. And that speaks to attainment levels, goal setting, all of those, the things that last long beyond 8th grade. And so I just wanted to say thank you. It is really hard, I know it, but as a parent, but also a community member, I'm so glad that the students who didn't have it before, that we're catching those students now, or that we will be, and we will know how to help them. And so I just want to say thank you.
Ms. Causey?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is somewhat in line with Ms. Spear's comment, in that I was curious, especially at the preschool level, given the fact that the foundation of learning to read, there's certainly a speech and auditory component that we feel that will be able to catch students that potentially need a little more intervention as a result of the implementation of letters at the preschool level.
Yes, so it's kind of twofold. Letters is giving our teachers much stronger supports for overall whole class tier 1 instruction. And so I think we're also being able to catch some things where, like Mrs. Webb was talking about with that explicit instruction, sometimes in preschool, it's a much easier fix than by the time you get into elementary school and they're more afraid to ask questions, or they've just made do. So it's easier to catch those things in preschool and easier to fix them. We all know early intervention is so important. Tied to that, the fact that we're using the resources from the FastBridge assessments that we're doing, and they are research-based and aligned to what we're learning about the science of reading. We're getting real-time data on our preschoolers, and then through that FastBridge component, we have tier 2 supports where we can come in and say, okay, you didn't score as well as we wanted to, let's jump in and get these resources to you quickly. And that also includes a lot of information that we can send home for parents. We have a huge benefit in preschool because parents are still involved and are still wanting that support, and so we're able to give them those supports in preschool. And then we also have a great relationship with student services, so if there's a need that we're finding where we can't in the classroom support those needs, that we have those resources to get them identified early so that we can give them the supports prior to kindergarten. So we know that a lot of these kids that we get those supports in preschool often work themselves out prior to regular school enrollment.
Exactly.
Great, thank you. Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to thank you all and our teachers. I know this is a huge, heavy lift. I worked for the State Board of Education when Move On When Reading was getting first implemented, and even, that moved now over a decade ago, getting people to think a little bit differently about how they're providing instruction, what tier 1 and tier 2 looks like. All of those things are making such a difference in students' lives and their love of reading. I mean, one of my own kiddos was, really great at looking at the pictures and saying almost identically what it said, but just adding a few letters here and there. And then we realized that his phonemic awareness was off. And now, we got it corrected, and now he's, sitting at home reading Harry Potter books and loving reading. But there was a time there where he didn't think he was necessarily smart enough. He didn't think that reading was for him. And to be able to catch those students early is so incredibly important, and to give them the supports that they need is life-altering potentially for these students. So I want to thank you all for what you're doing. I want to thank the teachers. I know what a huge time commitment it is, but I think it's going to make a huge difference within the district over time. So thank you for the commitment.
Thank you. Mr. Holcomb?
Yes, I guess I'm the third board member who had a child who had reading issues. My daughters got caught though about second grade when we realized she was memorizing words instead of reading them. But it was caught, and the interventions that happened, she's used all the way through college and going on beyond. And so being able to catch that and deal with it is very important. I also want to thank you. This is very difficult. I really appreciate the dedication, your dedication, and the teachers' dedication who's doing this. And I see how much time and effort's being put in to do this for our teachers now. Next year, as other new teachers come into our system, I was wondering, have you given thought about how we're going to keep this up? Because it's taking a huge amount of time, all of which I think is well spent. But how do you keep this rolling after it's taking 2 years to get the first cadre of teachers through it? How have you given thought about how you continue the
Yeah, there's two components to that. New teachers in our teacher preparatory programs. That is being taught now. The courses that we're taking are essentially college courses. They're, like I said, very meaty, very in-depth, sometimes complicated. Brain research is a little complicated. So they are being prepared in our teacher colleges for our new people coming. People who are transferring to us. When we purchased letters last year, they are 2-year cohorts, so their licenses expire after 2 years. We made the decision to purchase extra, and so we have a number of extra licenses that we are holding on to, and we will start a second cohort in 25-26. We want to get through this one completely. If we have anyone else who needs to have that training, who didn't come from a teacher preparatory program or from another district that already had it, then they will join into a 25-26 cohort and be done by 2028, assuming that that requirement is still there. We also are training our literacy specialist, Andrea Mateen. She's going through the Trainer of Trainers program with letters, so she will be one of our in-house trainers, so the live sessions will be done with her. We anticipate that happening next spring, so we've kind of thought that out till 2028.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ladies. One last question. So this is, the requirement is K through 5. Is there any reason, or do we have any plans? Is there any reason for the 6th through 8th teachers to do this, or?
At this point, no. There isn't any requirement or thought about having them do this full training. I think that as we get better at this and we have our full the people who are going through the cohorts and the training right now, and perhaps Andrea may be using some TCT time in the future after we're all done to go through and point out some of the pieces that could be strengthened in the ELA middle school program.
Yeah, I was noticing on that graph you showed how, it continues, all the way through. So, okay, great. Thank you so much. Anything else from? Thanks, ladies. And we will go on to 8.2, our IBN and Budget Advisory. Dr. Guerin.
President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. Our next presentation will be on IBN and Budget Advisory. So at both Dr. Lomely and Deputy Superintendent Lori Garvey. Sorry. See how I combine the two?
That's okay. That's good. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and cabinet. As Dr. Guerin said, Dr. Lomely and I will be kind of doing a tag team on this presentation. I'll be going a little bit over the budget projection for next year, and then Dr. Lomely will go into the IBN recommendations, and then it'll wrap up with me with budget advisory recommendations. Maybe I should just go up there. One more. Okay, so for our starting point, let's just take a look at this year's budget for a moment. So this is the current school year that we are in. We can see everything that we received this past year in the way of new revenue. What I want to point out that's critical on this page is that right-hand column, which this budget did include over 1.3 million of one-time funding. And that becomes important to the next slide, or the second next slide. But I do want to say that with all this $3.1 million that we did infuse in the current year, that really did touch the district in a lot of different ways and different programs. Just to, this is a short list, it's probably not an all-inclusive list, but certainly a lot of work was done in the current year that we're in, and we were able to add a lot to the budget. In addition to all the parity work that we did and the salary increases that we gave, we were able to add all these positions and absorb them into our M&O budget. So really, that is a pretty big list of supports that we were able to put out there this year. And I mention that as we go and we start looking at what does the budget look like for next year. So the legislature is still meeting. The budget talks are really barely underway. The only thing that we do here is that there probably isn't a whole lot of extra money at the state level to be given out statewide, but the school districts should receive the lesser of inflation, or 2% per state statute, which would be 2% for this year, which is $98.28 per weighted student count. Or if you look at that in terms of dollars, it's $702,000. We are also going to see next year an increase in our teacher experience index. Madison's teachers have a little bit more experience than the average teacher in the state of Arizona. We will receive $150,000 for that. Madison, as we know, has a maintenance and operations override, which allows us to add an additional 15% to what we get through formula funding. Both the base support and the teacher experience are formula funding, so the 15% of that is $127,800. Now the next item is our uncommitted budget balance carry forward. If you just look over to the right, you will see that we have a projected budget balance carry forward of 1.9. The projected budget balance, or the budget balance carry forward that we would like as a district, is a minimum of 3%. That does help cushion any unforeseen events that might happen in the next year. We are in current year enrollment. If we don't foresee it, but should your enrollment decline and you have to reduce your budget, you have some funds there. We never know what's going to happen, as we've seen over the past 5 years. So it is very prudent for us, to our taxpayers and the people in the district, that we're very fiscally responsible. And so that budget balance carry forward helps do that for us. That 3% is approximately 1.4 million, which means that we have 500,000 that we could allocate into next year's budget and still maintain that 3%. That 500,000, a majority of it comes from our increase in ADM, which we experienced this year. We grew by 45.5 students, and that funding for that current year is still in our budget unspent. So now we have that for next year. Then here, the last item is that big deduct. So all the top items, we're getting additional money. It's looking like we might be doing okay, and we are, but now we have to reduce that by that one-time funding of 1.3, which shows us an increase in projected revenue next year of 117,800. After that, as you know, we really start looking at what do we have in the way of added expenses for next year. What are things that we need to build in to cover, make sure that we have enough budget capacity for? Well, this year showed a little bit different picture as well. We actually, through teacher roll-up, have a reduction of 4.0 certified teachers. That's a reduction of 324,000. Of that 1.3 million that we just talked about, we did have retention stipends in there paid out of maintenance and operations. That came to about 500,000. That will not be happening next year. That one-time money has gone away, and that was a one-time approved board expenditure. So we reduced our expenditures by 500,000. The medical insurance, the rate increase that we saw this year was 8.76% for 365,000. Now that is in addition to expenses. And then ASRS went down just a smidge, and that's a savings of about $5,700. So actually, going into next year, we're projecting a decrease in expenditures of $464,000. So that savings is combined with the increase in projected revenue of $117,800 to come up with a balance of $582,500 that we will that we can look at how would we like to prioritize these funds for the next year and make recommendations as an IBN and budget advisory group. But to that, we do have our classroom site fund. It is a separate fund from maintenance and operations. The JLBC sets the amount that we get per weighted ADM on March 31st. That's not obviously quite yet, a few days here, but it is looking right now like there will be an increase in that. The monies come from state trust land and tax revenue. It is looking right now like it could be anywhere between an additional $20 to $37 per student. So again, just at this point, to be a little bit more fiscally conservative, I'm using the lower amount, the lesser of $20. That's an additional $122,800 in classroom site fund. That fund has been broadened to what you can use it on. It used to be the bucket fund where you had base salaries for certified teachers and pay for performance. The bucket requirements have been lifted. The funds were originally good for 20 years. That expired. The legislature extended the funds and made them more broadly usable, flexible within the district. So that can be used with that 582, bringing our increase in total projected revenue to $705,300. We do also look, we've talked about this before, we look at a 3-year budget projection. What do we see coming? We know that there are funds sometimes at sunset. We know we just want to make sure that we are looking out into the future, that we can sustain whatever it is that we are implementing for the next upcoming year. As I mentioned, everything already in the first column there, 24, 25. But as we look out, it's again building in that 2%. We don't know if our teacher experience index will go up, so not accounting for that. The M&O override will increase on each of those 2%. You can see that play out. We don't know if we will have that misspelled uncommitted budget balance. I should have read that better. But let's see, so we can't plan for that. Currently, the district receives Prop 301 dollars. They were the result of a settlement. Part of the 301 dollars or that whole lawsuit about funding for school districts included an amount that increased the base support level and is an ongoing amount. But to help to make up for all the years when school districts weren't getting increases and our budgets were being cut, for a 10-year period of time, the state distributed additional money, and that money will expire in 2025, or at the end of there in 25. So we need to, not next year, but the year after, the district is currently receiving almost $350,000. So that would not be there. So you can see the revenue as it plays out. And then the budget commitments, just for sake, let's just say that we add 2 teachers every year. What does that look like on a conservative level? And then the retention stipends came out this year but would phase out. You'll see the next line is the medical insurance increase. This year, our increase, as I mentioned, was 8.76%. But with that, we did receive a rate commitment cap for the next year from our insurance company, that it would be an amount of 0 to 2.5%. So our cap will be 2.5% in fiscal year 26. We just received that information as of yesterday, so it's very kind of hot off the press. But that you can see how just that change right there from an 8.76 to 2.5 really makes a big difference to your bottom line. So going forward, if the only thing we would receive is 2%, additional, we were to increase 2 teachers every year and health insurance would go up, we still do have some excess revenue over expenditures. So we can project that what our recommendations would be or whatever the board would implement would be sustainable throughout the years. And with that, I'm turning it over to Dr. Lomely, who's going to go over the IBN recommendations.
Thank you. I really want to take a moment to thank our IBN teams. A few of them are here with us tonight. They really put in a lot of work in this process, and our IBN team is very collaborative and honors all groups of employees. And so these are our members. Anna Andrews led the certified staff, Casey Bilger, Hannah Milne, Alicia Patton, Patrick McFadden led the classified group and included Deborah Wheeler, Matt Bloom, Jose Almeida. And on the administrative team, Barb Marshall and I worked together with Priscilla Gossett and Justin Wright. So thank you so much for all of your input and efforts. Our IBN team, we went through our process and identified from each group, from each team, the topics that we are going to address. So this is a full list of all of our topics. Once we went through each of the topics and did our work, when we were coming up with recommendations, we put a lot of effort into prioritizing what IBN feels is important. And you'll see at the top of the list is salary. At the time that we were working on identifying our recommendations, we did not have a lot of budget to spend on salaries, so we had lots of discussions and we settled on 3%. That's what we would like to recommend, in hopes that there will be additional funds in the future to fund additional salaries. But we just wanted to really communicate that salary and benefits are really at the top priority for each of our groups. So I'm going to go through each of the recommendations. So I mentioned the salary. We recommend a 3% salary increase. And again, any surplus that might become available, we would recommend that go to salaries. Employees are very appreciative of Madison benefits, so we're recommending to keep our benefit packages the same. However, we are recommending that we increase our HSA contribution to $1,400. So that would increase by $100. And this is at a cost of $13,000. This topic came up, was very important, protected teacher work time. We had lots of discussions about the commitment and the requirements that are placed on teachers and all of the work. And so our recommendation to assist with this is a non-monetary recommendation, but really is to align our job-alike sessions, really work with our principals to have clear expectations for meetings, and for grades, when grades are submitted. Also, have district personnel send communication regarding grade submittals and what the expectations are for those. Define the end of the day for each of our offices as 1 hour prior to closing. And this is going to be reflected in our handbook. That's what our recommendation is, so that we are consistent. And also to reinforce the expectations of that all TCT days are evenly distributed with between professional development and the PLCs, the professional learning communities. This year is a bit, and next year a bit of an anomaly, where we are doing, as you just heard, lots of training to meet the legal requirements, and we're providing the letters training. It was PTO holiday use. We had several discussions about expanding the use of PTO holidays. The recommendation from IBN is to better communicate the purpose of PTO, paid time off, for our employees, and essentially keep our PTO the same, but communicate how it should be used. Employee workload. The IBM recommendation is meeting facilitators to clearly communicate time allocation as far as start and end times of meetings, and really honor that. To explore commitment requirements with our SIOP program with our principals, and then also to recommend that the evaluation committee review our performance category 4 that includes in there, in order for a teacher to receive a highly effective rating in that category, it lists out a number of committees to serve on. So we want to review that and update that so it better matches what we're doing today and doesn't contribute to the burdens on our teachers. We discussed 504 coordinator stipend, and our recommendation is to leave as is, which we do not have a stipend right now, but we'll continue to explore and study this, this need. Additional holiday pay. This is a classified staff topic, and we have in the past added additional holiday pay for classified staff. And at this time, we have, IBN is recommending that we keep leave as is, which is keep the same as our current leave. Retention stipends, that was a topic. Because we no longer have the funding, ESSER funding available, IBN is recommending that we leave as is, but actually basically not having a retention stipend moving forward. This recommendation is, there is an expense to it, and currently we have longevity pay where we award a stipend for staff depending on the numbers of years of service. And IBN is recommending that we add a tier. It's a 3 to 4 year threshold where that would be $100 for staff that meet that that level of years of service. And then we're recommending to keep our current payouts that are currently exist the same. So the cost of this, adding that additional tier of $100, is approximately $16,250. There was a topic was to increase the amount of time off that employees can accrue. And at this point, IBN's recommendation is to leave as is and not make a change to that. Reducing class size came up as a topic, and IBN's recommendation is to leave as is, but to continue to explore student and teacher needs and possibly find creative ways to maybe address this issue. Tuition compensation is basically tuition reimbursement for college courses. And this topic had lots of discussions about this, but our IBN recommendation is to leave as is. However, we do want to make sure that we communicate with staff that in Madison, we do increase employee salaries or employee pay based on level of education level. We do honor different levels of education when we do make salary offers, but also when employees earn degrees while they're employed at Madison. So we will communicate that better. Safety procedures and training, that came up as a topic. We are, in the midst of really refining all of our training, and there's lots of training that does happen, but we recognize that we really want to make sure that all of our employee groups are included in training when we do our safety trainings, but also communicate and establish a process for training new hires as they come in at different parts of the year. Full-time social studies coach position. It's IBN's recommendation to add a 0.5 full-time equivalent position, a social studies position, which would cost approximately $40,000. It's also the recommendation to leave our current FTE, which is half 0.5 social studies coach and 0.5 athletic director. And IBN also recommends exploring budget source to provide training for our social studies teachers in a train the trainer model. So IBN had several topics. Most of them did not have a cost to them, but this is just a summary of those items that did have an expense. And so this is what that looks like.
And I also need to really give a huge thank you to all the members of the Budget Advisory Team. We had 17 members. Every site is represented and every employee group is represented, as well as parents and community. Some serve as both or all three, actually. So, but really great input was received from the committee. They're just like a breath of fresh air for me, and giving perspective and coming up with a lot of feedback. So a lot of good information came from them. So thank you to all of you for participating. And our slide is a lot shorter than the slides for IBN because we have one slide. But part of the reason for that is while IBN looks at working conditions as well, and they really look at the whole scope of a day, Budget Advisory has a very clear focus, which is really just to look at the budget and make budget recommendations. So we were looking at the $705,000 that was available and really looking at what is the best way to allocate that. We went through a lot of conversation about different ways for a salary increase or to honor staff, because I think that was a focus point for the group is, you know, in a year when there's not a lot of money, how do you make staff feel appreciated because they are doing so much and asked to do so much. And so just a lot of great conversation around that. We looked at the money items that Dr. Lomley showed from IBN, talked about those, and then these are our final recommendations. Is a salary increase for all employees, and it's at 1.95%, because they also did feel that there is a lot of concern about healthcare and the rising cost of healthcare, and increasing that HSA contribution for those on the high deductible plan by $100 was very important to them. So after deducting the $13,000 from the $705, it comes up with a 1.95% raise. However, as the same as IBN, if there would be any additional funding that did come our way, that would be asked to go towards additional salary increase. And I think for anybody, I know the board understands this, but for anybody that might be listening out there, what happens next, our recommendations from both groups actually are made to Dr. Guerin, the superintendent, who then will make her look at all of it, make her recommendations to the board that ultimately does vote for or to approve budget increases. So with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Garvey. Any questions or comments? I will take this opportunity to express my frustration with the those that create our state budget, and it's frankly mismanagement to go from a huge surplus to a deficit in 1 year is just unacceptable. And the things that are draining our general fund, including school vouchers, it affects everyone, and as you can see, it's affecting Madison as well. So I will just stop that right there. And so nothing else from our, thank you, ladies, for that. Oh, not so fast, Ms. Kazi.
I just wanted to say thank you. I've been involved in this process. This is my 9th year, maybe? I don't know, 10th year? I don't know. I've lost track of the count, but every year it has improved. It is always meaningful to see the wide range of participation, not just on IBN, but also the Budget Advisory Committee. It's a commitment of time, and as well as, I think, in this, just emotion, brain space. We've been blessed with federal dollars these past few years, and a budget from the state that provided additional funds, and these years that are significantly leaner are so much harder. So I just want to say that this board, if we had the capacity to give larger raises, this board would be behind that. I think I can say that with complete confidence. It pains me to see just how little we have available. I'm hopeful that we might see increases, but that's, I think, where we're at. So thank you again for all your hard work, and I'll look forward to Dr. Guerin's budget.
Thank you. Yes, if only everyone had Lori Garvey in charge, we'd be in good shape. Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also wanted to to echo my gratitude to our staff and all the members of these committees. It is such a heavy lift in the best of times and in the worst of times to do to do this work. But the fact that we have such broad representation, not only from each of the sites, but the different types of staff, the parents, the community members. Speaks to the strength of our school district in talking through these difficult issues, and it's very much appreciated. I think it gives Dr. Guerin, our superintendent, an opportunity to really hear what those priorities are, and I think it gives us as board members a lot of food for thought as we move through this budget process, but also gives our community an understanding that they have an opportunity to be heard, they're listened to, and it has a huge impact on us as board members and on our process. So thank you very much for all the time and dedication to that process.
Thank you. And Mr. Holcomb.
Yes. I just want, again, I want to echo the thanks. This process has gotten better. I agree, is better each year, and particularly with the level of involvement and the time is put in by staff, by both, and community members in trying to give us the direction. It's hugely helpful. One thing, I think it was slide 8. We don't have to. I don't know. We can go back there, but basically you mentioned, and part of that is a reduction in 4 teachers. I just want to make clear that we're not going to have any type of reduction in force or that. How is that reduction going to occur?
Mr. Holcomb, the reduction is through natural attrition. So that's our first first route that we go through is natural attrition.
Okay, thank you. And on the list from the IBN, the interest-based, a lot of those items, some of them have budget that you're not bringing forward, but there are also issues in there that just dealt with things that we can deal with on non-budgetary ways, correct?
That is correct. Many of the items that we discussed impacted working conditions, and we could recommend some, make some recommendations that were non-monetary.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I will also add that I really appreciate having the budget advisory because we didn't always have that. And I might remember I remember talking on the phone to Ms. Kazi and complaining about that maybe a long time ago. So I really do appreciate we have that now, that the parents and community have that input. Okay, anything else? Thank you. And we will go on to our almost last item, 8.3, Dr. Guerin.
President Gresham, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Carrie Clark and Principal Rodriguez for their patience for being our last agenda item. I'd like to introduce them for their annual report on Madison Highland Prep, which is such a valuable partnership to us. So I'd like to invite them to the podium.
Thank you. I have so much more respect for district governing board meetings. You all have them so late, and I hear tales from friends that they sometimes go till 1 a.m. and things like that, but not this board. Good.
We tried that a couple of times. It's no fun.
Thanks so much. I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, President Gresham, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and cabinet. Thanks. This is, last year I mentioned that it was our 10th year of partnership, but I get to do 10 again because this is our 10th school year with our partnership with the Madison Elementary School District. And it's something that we're very grateful for, very appreciative of, and very proud of. And it's just great to be here. And we really sure enjoy your support, and it's a lot of fun, and we definitely feel like family. This is Principal Rodriguez's 3rd year as principal of Madison Highland Prep. So I decided to give up control a little bit and let her dominate in this presentation. So she's going to take over. And if you saw that we had 18 slides, please don't sweat that. We're just going to speak extemporaneously based on 2 of them, and the rest of them there are just here for your edification if you get bored sometime. Thank you. Rosanna.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. So I'm excited to be able to share some of our recognitions. These are the 2 slides that Dr. Clark was referring to. So we did earn some titles this year. We were awarded the Gold Distinction Award through College Board, so we made their honor roll. We were runner-up for the ADE National Title I Distinguished Award School. We were recognized by ADE as an ECAP exemplar school. So ECAPs are a process that start with us in freshman year. They start learning about college and career choices, things like that. We are an AP Computer Science female. We earned the AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award for the amount of students that we have participating in computer science and just STEM-related fields. You can see our ratings on there. We continue to be an A school. The Arizona Best High School, or not the Arizona, but the Best High School recognitions came out, and we were excited that we placed 17th in Arizona. Nationally, we're ranked 807th out of more than 17,000 high schools in the nation. So I think that is huge. And we were 12th in Phoenix Metro. We went through Cognia certification this year, and we just became aware that we're the first STEM system, or we received the first STEM system certification in the world, us with our 2 sister schools. We were recognized again as a PLTW distinguished school. We have 14 students this year in the fall that scored distinguished on the PLTW assessment. And so if you don't know, PLTW stands for Project Lead the Way. That is who we partner with for our STEM curriculum. And at the end of each of those courses, students have to take an exam. And then based on that exam, they can earn college credit for those exams as well. We have a student, one of our seniors, that was published in the America Library of Poetry. One of our seniors just received the Alumni Association Medallion Scholarship through ASU. Although we don't have ROTC, one of our seniors was a recipient of the National ROTC Scholarship. We continued our parent workshop series, and our parent workshops are both academic and mental health. So we always have one workshop that focuses on helping parents grow their students. And the other one helps parents support the mental health of their students. We have a junior this year, Delilah. She this past summer was one of 85 students that participated in the Joaquin Bustos Math Science Honors Program through ASU. Our soccer team this year placed 4th in the AIA, which is huge for us, especially because we're relatively new to AIA. One of our students was recognized as Central Regional Player of the Year, and our coach was named Regional Coach of the Year. So just some of the ways that we have given back to our community this year. We partnered with Child Crisis. We did a toy drive. Student Council hosted a canned food drive. Sorry, it's a little bit late. With a New Leaf Foundation. We volunteered at Madison Camel View. We've hosted 2 blood drives. Our most recent was last Friday. We volunteered at Madison Rose Lane at the Ironman race, and we'll be at Madison Camel View for their STEAM Spotlight on May 16th. And then we have several of our students through Service Club that are volunteering in the Park 21st Century program before and after school. So that's exciting, and they're really enjoying it. These are just, the rest of the slides are the slides that Dr. Clark said that we won't go through, but it's just stats on our class of 2024 soon-to-be graduates. What I did not put up there was there's 31 of our students that were admitted to U of A. 5 of them were admitted to the W.A. Frank honors college at U of A, so I did not add that on there. Those are some of the new universities that students were admitted to this year. And then the rest of the slides just go into data. So our Seal of Arts proficiency, our distinguished scholars, our AP scholars, our report card, so we continue to be an A school, our letter grade compared to some other schools in the area. And then we continue to have 100% four-year graduation rate, as well as 100% admission to four-year colleges. This year, we are still waiting on 3 students to receive their admission letters, but I am confident that they will receive them hopefully soon. Colleges have been a little bit delayed this year, especially with FAFSA rollout and everything like that. AP exam scores, and I am eager to present next year because this year's graduates are the COVID babies. They started with us during COVID, and so I'm eager to see how they do on their AP scores, which will be released over the summer. I'm confident they'll do well. Our PLTW exam scores, again, you all have this data, so feel free to peruse it when you get bored. Our AP scores, and that's it.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments for them? I'll start with Ms. Thompson this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank you for the partnership over the years. You know, there was a great example of it last week as there was an issue on one of our campuses that led to, police being on campus and you all working with us to have your SRO come to our campus. It makes a huge difference. And to be able to have that kind of relationship, not just on the campus you're co-located on, but for the rest of the district makes a huge difference. So thank you for being the partner that we work so closely with. I'm also excited as a parent who's going to have some kiddos going to Park for the partnership opportunities that are available for our REACH children who might be advanced and be able to partake before they're in high school in some of those high school programs. So thank you for that continued partnership, depending on what the kiddos are interested in and what things look like. But thank you for that continued partnership on the Park campus and really helping to lead in that way. I also love to see how you're engaging not just on that campus, but in volunteering in our campuses around the community, and am very appreciative for that. So thank you for your leadership and what you're doing with your students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kazi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to echo my colleagues' comments. We definitely, it's been a good relationship, and we appreciate it. And having had a student there last year was really exciting to see firsthand, right? And get to do a deeper dive and understanding what the school was all about. And she just had a great experience. And actually, as a result, she is graduating a year early and is getting accepted to colleges as we speak back in the U.S. We're excited to get her back here. Curious what your Madison student attendance looks like right now. Always interested in that, and if we're drawing from all of our middle schools, would be interested in learning more about that. And I guess I didn't know that you would open and they were up to 3. I don't know how I missed that. So congratulations on that.
For me?
No, from Madison. I didn't. I guess I knew. Did Surprise or Avondale come first? I can't remember this. Surprise. That's what I thought. And then, so when did you open Avondale?
The summer before last.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. All right.
But we're done.
That's what he tells you.
We really are.
And then I just have a quick question in addition to the question about Madison students. So you're doing AP stats, and then you're doing dual enrollment for the rest, which is interesting.
Yes, we have AP statistics, but we've also offered AP calculus as well.
So I would love to know what your thoughts are on why you decided to not do a AP Calc 2, but to go to a dual enrollment. I would just be curious about what's your thought process and why. What was the benefit you thought as well. I know a lot of questions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that was a bit of a disagreement between Steve Mack, who you may know as our director of curriculum, myself, because I love the AP curriculum for how it changes lives, all that, you know, which it does. But Steve said in a very gravelly voice that I can't replicate. He says, Carrie, he says, you know, AP helps a lot of kids. It doesn't help all of the kids. A lot of our kids are going to be going to college and university in Arizona, and the dual is going to serve them better than it would the AP, particularly, you know, depending on who accepts the 3, if you don't get the 4 on the score and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then this year, we actually we have a group of students going through Calc 3 right now, dual enrollment in Calc 3, so.
Are you good, Ms. Cuddy?
And just curious about the mix of Madison students that you're serving now. And yeah.
Answer?
I can or you can?
Go ahead. You didn't speak a lot. You go.
Why we look at different data. We were looking at grad rates the other day among schools, and there are not grad rates rather, but attendance rates, and I was surprised they were better than I thought maybe that they were. They were 96, about 96%. As far as what percentage of students come from Madison Elementary, this year, usually I let you know that it's somewhere hovering around 70%. This year, it's probably about 68%, so it's just a couple percent off. And there's a couple of districts that found out about us and sent an early wave, and so we just, you know, it's first come, first serve before we get the wait list going. Yeah. Thanks.
Mr. Holcomb?
Yes. Thank you. You answered one of my questions. One is, you talked about the partnerships, but I know you also work at one thing that wasn't listed there as much as, or specifics on the classes that you share or allow with the middle school students, or the support that you give to the middle school students on the campus. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Do you want to? Go ahead. Well, we're, you know, we always love our NHS students to read for the littles, and that's something historically that they've done year after year after year. This year, that's happening less, or it's in some state of flux.
There was a lot of transition with the preschool this year with the construction, and they just moved into their new building.
But we would like to intensify it. And as a matter of fact, I mean, we've got an army of NHS kids. So we have 150-ish NHS kids. So that's a lot of support that we can provide for tutoring and reading. Yeah.
Are any sharing on as to the classes, the engineering classes and things of that nature?
Next year, we have 2 students next year who are going to be taking
Ms. Gossett and I have been talking about potentially 2 park students taking geometry with us. Can you hear me? Next year. We haven't, our master schedule is still being developed, and so I'm going to be following up with her as soon as I know when those classes are being offered, so that we may have 2 park students joining our geometry classes.
But back to engineering, this year we don't have any MSD engineering students at the moment. Historically, we've generally had 1 or 2 students taking it actively. It's not without effort though, because you've got the logistics of transportation. I think we had a reach kiddo the last year, and it's a lot of work that you all do to get them over to the campus. But it's certainly admirable.
Okay, and the last question is one I've asked you a number of times. When are you going to find your A?
Yeah, this STEAM instead of STEM.
Yes.
I was wondering if you noticed that slide that Ms. Rodriguez put through.
I did.
We just, how many students do we have that got the?
11. The seal by, about 11. And then we have students that receive the Seal of Arts. I don't know if I put that on there, though.
Yeah,
Right,
it's on.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's on there.
You're still missing out.
We're not very good at conforming. No, I'm just kidding. We just, STEM was so tough to get everybody to understand what it was. And then STEAM, it's like, no, not all over again. But you all started out with STEM, so everybody understands.
I still have hope for you.
Ms. Spear, do you have anything?
just your awards and your statistics are outstanding, and they continue to be so. It's not like this is a new. It's not like you didn't have equally outstanding statistics and awards last year, but it's just, I think it bears saying again how impressive the roster, the list of awards that you all have acquired, including as someone who has had to do 2 FAFSAs for several years, 85% FAFSA completion rate to date. That's amazing. That is amazing. Completion this year, that's amazing.
Considering that it was just completely.
A mess, an absolute mess. Congratulations to all of those parents. I don't know many schools who have that or even anything approaching it. So, and that is really the key to getting the money. So, so that college can be more accessible. So congratulations on that too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Spear. Yes, I also noticed all the volunteering your students are doing with Madison, so that's great. And we would love to see, I'm sure, all the other board members would love to see the Madison, when they graduate from Highland Prep, what our Madison students, what they're doing, because we like to see what happens to them eventually. So
it's funny you brought that up. So Dr. Clark and I were talking the other day, and I proposed that we have our media specialist this summer take on a project where she starts contacting all of our alumni, and we really start desegregating that data. What are they doing? We have alumni that have graduated college already, because our first graduating class was in 2012, 2011. We have alumni that are teachers, and so we're going to start doing a deep dive into that data, and then we're going to desegregate it even more, because then we're going to look at specific Madison district alumni and what they're doing, so that we can share that with you guys too. So hopefully this time next year we will have some of that data to share, because I'm excited to dig into it.
that's great to hear, and that would be great. And I just had a quick question. Have you always been a Title I school?
Yes.
Good to know. Excellent. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I want to give Ms. Rodriguez credit for just, we've worked together for 19 years now. And I remember when she did her principal internship with me, I wasn't quite sure I liked her. Thought she was kind of very demanding. And, but the first thing I said is, I need you to become an expert on getting all of our kids into colleges and universities. And she said, okay, I have no background in that, right? I said, I know. Let's get started. And she really has worked really hard. If you saw one of these, and I think we have some video of it that we can send along at some point, but these meetings that we have that Ms. Rodriguez has with the students, where they really spend a whole day grueling and just really pushing everybody up the hill with FAFSA, with college applications and all this. It's intensive. It's exciting. There's nail biting, there's hair pulling, but it works out really nicely. Thanks.
Great job. Thank you. Okay. Our last item.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you for staying so late.
Yes, thank you for waiting.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Dr. Guerin.
Last but not least, the end of the year is upon us. Well, we're after spring break and it's testing season, so we know.
Last quarter.
It's tired? Yeah, we all are. I'll make it brief. So April 9th, we will have an executive session. We'll start later than we did today, though, for the superintendent budget recommendations. Then we'll jump into our meeting. We are going to once again, I know you're so excited about starting policies again, but we're going to get through several rounds of policies to be able to finish up, and we'll be on time by our June 11th meeting. So we'll have first and second reads to finish up this round that we just received in February. We will have a STEAM program update, a bond update for Ms. Garvey, the budget recommendations, and our salary range, staff contract templates, extra duty pay. You've already approved the teacher contracts. This will be the other contracts, and also some student meal pricing. Then April 23rd, We'll have some celebrations. I don't know if we'll quite match the Love Fest that was today, because we'll jump more into some more policies, first and second reads. And then we're going to provide a 21st century grant update and an English language learner program update, because that is just something we're really focused on. And of course, it keeps changing in the state of Arizona. So that will get us all the way to May.
Thank you. Ms. Thompson, do you have a question?
Just one item at the April 23rd meeting, we'll have the Boy Scouts joining at the beginning of the meeting to help do the flag presentation, and we'll be sticking around to watch the board meeting as well. So just want to make sure that got on the calendar.
Looking forward to it.
Anyone else?
Just real quick, my family we're actually driving out to go see the eclipse in Texas. And so I'm going to try to be back by that meeting, but I may be having to call in from the road,
The April 9th?
depending on the traffic coming back.
It's on the 8th, right, the eclipse?
Yeah, it's on the 8th, so.
And I just want to give a special thanks tonight to Ms. Humphreys. There was a lot of logistics this evening into making that all work. She spent so much time speaking with Ms. Dyer and her students and the extravaganza that we had this evening. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Spears, seconded by Mr. Holcomb. Yeah, I think so.
It's been a long week. You're forgiven.
I think we're almost adjourned. And we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.